armies that have been playing quite well recently. That's Eldar versus Tyranids. Both armies forming a reputation for doing well, and they're playing each other on this terrain. It's a woodland with an imperial compound, an ammunition supply, ammunition dump. Then coming around, there's some ruins as well in the woods. Alright, welcome to this 1850 points game. It's a showdown between Eldar and Tyranids. James is going to take control of the Tyranids here, just going to run through his list. Now this is the list that hammered the Blood Angels and did really well on the desert terrain. So it's a Turvagon, and that actually is going to count as a troop's choice. 2 units of 10 gaunts, and then for heavy supports as a treble heavy support, 2 carnifexes as a brood, and then a Trigon, and then a Morlock, 6 Raveners, and then his Warlord is the Hive Tyrant with 2 Tyrant Guard, and another Hive Tyrant with wings. And as before, all the monstrous creatures have the regenerate special rules. On a roll of a 6, they'll regain lost wounds. That's the high combat power Tyranid force there, looking to take on the mobile Eldar army. So we're going to move on. James will go first in this game unless the Eldar can seize the initiative. Right, this is my Eldar force. Slight adaptation to it again. So the Warlord is the Avatar, and then 2 troops choices. Two troops choices, the jet bikes, 2 squads of 3, and then we're going to try them out. It's going to be an interesting game because we're going to try out both Scorpions and Howling Banshees. So unit of 9, I've dropped the Harlequins, and with that spare points I've managed to get a transport vehicle, another Wave Serpent, just a standard armament, and a unit of 9 Howling Banshees. That's pretty good going. So we'll see how they perform. I want them to do well, and I hope they can get into combat, and we'll see them perform in the game. Unit of 5 Fire Dragons, the Exarch there, Fire Pike and Fast Shot in a standard Wave Serpent as well. And then another Wave Serpent that's got the twin-linked Scatter Laser in there as 9 Scorpions. Had to drop 1 so that I could get the unit of 9 Banshees. But that's not too bad, still 9 of them, and still got the Exarch with the Scorpion's Claw. A double heavy support here of Wraith Lords with the Flamers, Ghost Glaive and Bright Lance configuration. Warp Spiders are back, and finally the Wraith Knight with the Sun Cannon. Tyranids will be a perfect target for that weapon. We'll see how we do in the game. So that's the forces, and we're going to move on to deployment now. Right, the scenario is Purge the Alien, so it's kill points. You get 1 point for every kill. And then the deployments, the Tyranids are at this end. They're facing up this way, up the table. The Eldar will be deploying further up. So the Tyranids are here. Then coming around, then the Eldar will be able to deploy in this zone here, up to this line of dice, to 24 inches in. So that's the setup. It's end to end, so there'll be a lot of things moving across the table and flanking units in this game. Alright, it's a bit of a strange game, this one. It's going to be different, fighting end to end. So the Tyranids have gone here, just trying to... It's a difficult game, really. He's got to try and stay alive, but also try and take out the Eldar units. But the problem with the Eldar is they're so mobile. He's using his synapses range just to stick together. So there's the Hive Tyrant there, 2 Carnifexes, Turvagon, and then those 2 units of Gaunts as well in the woods. So by sticking together, there's strength in numbers. And then just over here, the Morlocks behind here, ready to burrow down straight away on the first turn. So looking out across the table, and you can see now the Eldar are up for this fight. There's hardly any reserves for them. Wraith Lord at the front here, Avatar in the woods, another Wraith Lord. Back here, this is the unit of Fire Dragons. And then the Wraith Knight looking out across with a clear view to template his troops over there. So the Eldar really got quite a lot of long-range firepower. And then here, 2 Wave Serpents. One on the left has got the Howling Banshees, and the one just in the middle there, Striking Scorpions. Those 2 assault units looks like they're going to be working together in this game. Quite straightforward. A steady advance here, and then a sweeping flank attack up here and around from the assault units. Right, the reserves for the Eldar, it's the Warp Spiders, they'll be deep striking, and then these 2 guys will be coming on from reserve. Then Tyranid reserves, the Morlock will be deep striking, so will the Raveners, and then the flying Hive Tyrant will be coming on from reserve, moving up the table. To be honest, I think the Tyranids have met their match in this game. It's going to be difficult for them, and they might advance towards the Eldar can slink back and shoot at leisure in this kill point game. The Tyranids win, I'll be surprised, but as we've seen in previous battle reports, it's a hard game to call until right to the very end. So we're going to move on now. The Eldar have failed to steal the initiative, so it's Tyranid turn 1 coming up. Right, Tyranid turn 1. Forces have moved out across and through the woods. He's done his run moves as well. So the Hive Tyrant's moved up, and ahead of him 2 Carnifexes, Tervigon, and it's spawned another unit. So there's 3 units now, hasn't rolled any doubles yet. So that force is growing in size, and they're closing down onto this Eldar position. But the Eldar, I'm sure, are going to move up to meet them. So it looks like there is going to be a clash in the middle. As we go on now to Eldar turn 1. There's no night fighting, so the Eldar should be able to get a few shots in as they advance. Right, Eldar movement on turn 1. It's quite straightforward. The units have moved forwards, the Wraith Lords move forwards, closing down the gap pretty quick already, so I need turn 1. The Avatar's moved up, and the Wraith Lords turn up. We've got to be careful about not going in too quick, so we're going to come forwards, draw him in, and we may well back off just to use the firepower that we have. So they're moving up there, and then the Wraith Knight right on top with a great view down the table. And then both Wave Serpents moved up and over, looking to do that flanking move, and we'll see how we go from there. So we're going to move on to shooting now. For Eldar, they will be shooting straight away. Say hi to the Wraith Knight as he looks down on top of the Tyranid force. Right, no assaults for the Eldar. And we've done our extra moves here with the Wave Serpents. They've come up and through over the barricades and around here now, getting into that flanking position. And coming around, Wraith Knight fired down in amongst the Carnifexes there, but through cover saves and failing to wound, because it was strength 6 and toughness 6, we didn't do it. There's been no damage done to the Tyranids down here, so we've got to try and lure them out of the cover. Avatar's moved up a few inches, he ran. So did this Wraith Lord. This Wraith Lord fired the Bright Lance at that Carnifex dead ahead, didn't do any damage. And then this one deactivated the shield, fired forwards, and has killed 3 of the Gaunts. But not that impressive with firepower. It's not going to be as easy as we thought. Don't want to make the mistake of underestimating this Tyranid force. We're going to move on now to Tyranid turn 2. Some reserves, no doubt, will be arriving. Right, the shape of the game has changed. Flyers come on from reserve, moved up the table, now looking down on those Wave Serpents. And then also the Morlocks burst up. Didn't do any damage to the Wave Serpent, burst through and has pushed it over to the left-hand side, so it's sloped down over there. And then the Raveners have turned up as well, so there's a whole Tyranid force now surrounding these Eldar Wave Serpents, so I certainly can't underestimate this Tyranid force. They're all over the place at the moment. And coming around the table, it's quiet over here. Tyranid force, he's bred more Gaunts, another 12, but he rolled a treble 4, so that's now stopped. There'll be no more coming out from that mother there, from the Tervigon. And he swung around. He was heading this direction, decided not to face off against here, and then swinging off, heading off towards these wave serpents as well. So, bit of a sandwich tactic from the Tyranids. We'll see how the Eldar react. So we're going to move on now to the shooting phase and assaults for the Tyranids on turn 2. Right, Tyranid shooting, none really, so he's just done run moves. There's a whole stream of stuff now coming across this marshland here. Creatures everywhere, all in Synapses range, heading up, and they are moving off towards the wave serpents here. And then behind the wave serpents, he's run a few more inches and got himself around. So talk about surrounding the enemy. He is on every side, but the wave serpents are mobile. We can just fly off. Hopefully next turn. Still have that mobility with the Eldar. And coming around here, you can see these moving up and across the table. So, no assaults, no shooting, that's all done. Going to move on now to Eldar turn 2. They were here, the wave serpents, but we're not staying there. There's no way. So they pulled off back to here, up and over the top in their skimmer vehicles, and they're not going to stay there either. I don't think we're going to pull them back again another 18 inches. Reserves have arrived. The jet bike's here and here. Not really got any function in this game. There's no objectives to take, and they're easy kills. They've got to stay out of trouble for this scenario. He's shifted over. So we're going to do the same. We're going to follow him along. The advantage of us is we've got the firepower as we follow him along there. So the wave serpents come up and over. The Wraith Lords have moved along. And then that dominating place on top there, held by the Wraith Knight at the moment, he's going to stay there. We're looking to get first blood. Try and pick on some unit somewhere to take out and get that first point. Looking for a soft target just to get that initial 1 point. So we're going to move on now to Eldar shooting on turn 2. Right, it's dawned on the Tyranids that they think they're not going to be able to win this one. The Eldar have fallen back. They were here again, and then 18 inches has pulled them back to here. Out of trouble. Should be out of trouble. Remember, these guys are beasts. They might be able to catch them. And you've still got the flyer here as well. And then firing down from the Wraith Knight is selected a unit of 10 gaunts. They were just there, and they've been blown away by the sun cannon. He went to ground, made a couple of 6-up saves, but it wasn't enough. So they've been taken out. And then the jet bikes have just moved around, just staying out of trouble. We don't want to get picked on by his flying monstrous creature there. And then these guys have run to get into a position to fire and assault perhaps the Tervagon here. It took a wound from the Bright Lance from this Wraith Lord here. So there's two different forces and not really an equal match. There's two different styles of play, and really the Eldar have the advantage at the moment. So we're going to move on now to Tyranid turn 3. The game's moving pretty quick. Right, just to mention, it's not just James playing today. Actually, Ben's here as well. Two different philosophies. James is feeling like giving up, but Ben is saying the game's not over yet. So being positive makes a difference. You'll see why in a minute. The Morlock's gone off, back into reserve again, so it will burst up again next turn. Then the main Tyranid force is now swung back around and is heading off towards the main Eldar force. Will they clash in this game? We shall see. And he didn't lose that wound that was on the Tervagon there. And now this is the interesting part. Coming over here, Wave Serpents did fall back, but have they fallen back far enough? These guys are beasts, so they've ignored the cover, have burst through the barricade 12 inches, and now in a position to assault one or both of those wave serpents. And it's rear armor 10s. He's got a chance of breaking open one of those. And then he's decided to glide here. So he's gone 12, he's in that cover, and on an exceptionally good roll, he might make it into combat with one of these as well. So the game is not over yet. Now for deep striking, he wanted to land here with the Trigon and scattered onto the jet bikes. So he rolled a 3 and I was allowed to decide where to put him. I'd like to get a kill point for him, so I've elected to put him here, much to the surprise of the Tyranid players. But it's the Fire Dragons here and the Shuriken weapons. Hopefully I'll be able to bring it down and destroy that monstrous creature. It's right in the middle of an Eldar shooting ground here. We should be able to take it out. At least that's the plan. But that plan might be compromised because of the threat now of these guys coming over. So the game's not over. The Eldar have got to be careful we don't get caught out by this Tyranid force. So moving on now to Tyranid shooting and assaults on turn 3. Right, shooting for the Tyranids. The Trigon fired at the rear end of the Wave Serpent there, didn't do any damage. And then run moves, his creatures are bursting through, rolling good rolls of 6s on the runs there, and closing the gap with the Eldar force. It's going to move on to a key part of the battle now, and that is assaults. Will he make it into combat around on the other side? Pivotal rolls coming up. Right, Ben's going to roll for assaults here. This one is going to attempt to charge here, and those are going, they'll go in, but it's this one we want to know. So he's going to roll up now. It's 3d6 going through cover, take away the highest. That's a cocked one. And he's got a 2 and a 1, so there's no hope of going in. Take away the 6, 3 inches, no. So that flyer doesn't go in. And then you want to roll these guys. You don't want a double 1, but his fleet easily made it in, so they're in. So at least we've got one combat going on here. Right, assaults the Tyranids has gone very well. He elected to charge one Wave Serpent, and not realising that there's 30 attacks he had there. He got a whole load of hits and actually rolled 7 6s. So Ben's regretting now that he didn't charge both those Wave Serpents. He could have cracked open both Wave Serpents with that Ravener Brood. Excellent units, so fast and deadly against the rear armour of vehicles. The Scorpions have got out of the wreck and are pinned as well. So what a turn up for this game. Thought it would be boring, but it's not. The game has got some twists and turns in it as we move on. So Eldar turn 3 are right in the middle of this game now, and move on to Eldar movement now. See what they can do. It might be a case of rescue the Scorpions. Right, Eldar movement on turn 3. It's Warp Spiders to the rescue. Uh-oh. Oh no, this is not good. This isn't good, this isn't good. So it's 3 inches, they've landed right in the back of the Raveners there. That's not good, not good, not good. So what we want to do is we want to roll a dice and we want to get high. Our 1 is extremely bad. Oh, a 2. So James will get 2, or James and Ben, they'll decide where they want to put those guys. Now, you've got an angry Tyranid force, and I wonder where he's going to place those Warp Spiders. Perhaps right in the heart of the nasty Tyranid army. Right, so they have mishapped here. It's turning into a bit of a comedy episode where you rolled a 2 there. They were thinking about deploying them right in the heart of the Tyranid force, but knowing that they've got a bit of good shooting to them and able to jump, has decided to try and land them in the trees here. We didn't fail any of the dangerous terrain check for that, so that's okay. But Warp Spiders miles out of the game. So to the rest of the Eldar movement now on turn 3. Alright, this is the quiet part of the battlefield now. Eldar Turn 3, the focus of the game has shifted over here. So the striking Scorpions are pinned down. Banshees electing to try and help them out. The two squads working together. So the Banshees have deployed here, looking to fire their shuriken pistols down at the Raveners. And then the Wave Serpent shifted a little bit, looking to fire up at this fly here. Try and bring that one down if we can. The Wraith Lord and Avatar have moved along as well. Just trying to deal with these units here amongst the Eldar position. Right, then the Wraith Knights jumped down and has got an angle across, a good angle across to take on those Raveners there with the Sun Cannon. And then in its place, the Wave Serpent has moved up 6 inches, got itself immobilized, rolled a 1, but then deployed within 6 inches the Fire Dragons. They should deal out some deadly hits against that Trigon. The Wraith Lord has moved up as well, this one here, and then the jet bikes have closed in, looking to use their shuriken weapons as well to finish that off. Got to kill that. If we don't, then there'll be trouble. Got to kill those, and we've got to try and take this one out as well. If we do that, then that will secure the Eldar position. So, game far from over. Still a lot can happen. We'll see how the shooting goes on Eldar Turn 3. Right, the Fire Dragon is firing down. I'm just going to do that roll now. So you've got 4 regular guys. Come on. Double 1. That's not good. 2s to wound now. Yeah, so we've got 2. Don't forget the Exarch with his extra shot. He's got the 2 hits. And he's got the 2 wounds as well. So that's 4 wounds dealt out on that Trigon. Right, Eldar shooting on turn 3. Pretty impressive. The Trigon was here. These guys got 4 wounds, as you've already seen. And then the jet bikes did their job and have caused another 2 wounds, which was enough to take it out. So the Trigon's gone. Then over here the Raveners have gone. 4 of them were killed by the Sun Cannon, and then the rest were killed by the pistol fire from the Banshees. So that's good going on the Eldar Turn. Fired up, tried to do some damage on him, but he made his save, and there's no damage done to that flyer there. So we're going to move on now to Tyranids Turn 4, and James is telling me what he's going to do with the Morlock. He's hoping that it will burst up amongst the Banshees there. So we're going to move on now to Tyranids Turn 4. The game has swung in favour of the Eldar. Quite an effective job of mopping up the Tyranids here, but it's not over yet. We'll see what happens next. Right, Tyranid movement on turn 4. The rest of the tide slowly advances forwards, sticking together, not taking casualties, so that part of the Tyranid force is intact, and closing the gap down with the Eldar force here that has been preoccupied with events over here. He's come out of cover now, still gliding, so he's able to assault with the flyer. Was after the striking Scorpions, but they have bust morale. And rolled a double 6. They're off, running off in this direction. They'll probably rally. Morlock burst up and killed 4 Scorpions with that large blast template, and all but 1 of the Banshees. That's what caused the morale on the striking Scorpions there. They're falling back, and the last Banshee is just here. So the situation over here is quite desperate for the Eldar, and the core of the Eldar force is just here. So we'll see what he can do on the shooting and assault phase. See what he can do. The game's not over. The advantage is still with the Eldar, really. They've racked up some good points. But Tyranids, I'm sure, will keep fighting on to the bitter end. So assault moves and runs for the Tyranids. The winged Hive Tyrant has assaulted the Wave Serpent here, so that's a combat that will go on. The Morlock's just shifted along 1 inch. He's done his run moves, and that Tyranid Tide is moving through the woods and getting closer on some good run moves, rolls as well, closing in with the Wraith Lords from behind. So we'll move on now and see if that Hive Tyrant can take out the Wave Serpent for another kill point. Right, he went in for the assault, did a smash attacks, got the 1 hit, and the 1 penetration then rolled a 5, AP2, so he's blown that up. So it's another kill point to Tyranids, 3-2 at the moment. So we're going to move on now to Eldar turn 4. What can they do in reply to this? And are we going to save the last Banshee that's on its own? Turn 4, just ignoring the main force here, and still keeping our advanced swords here. So this flyer has come down, so we're able to shoot him as normal and try and take out this Morlock. Scorpions have rallied in the woods, and the Banshee's running off towards them. And then the jet bikes have moved up and over the terrain, looking to get in at shuriken weapons here. The Wraith Knight as well moved in, moved across and moved back with a view down to shoot either of those two. And then the Warp Spiders have moved up and out of the woods finally. Wraith Lord's fallen back 6 inches to support fire, along with the Fire Dragons here. Now for range, we're barely within 12, but we've got that battle focus, so we'll be able to run and then shoot, which will be handy in this situation. The Avatar's bursting forwards as well. And then the Wraith Lord rolled a 3 for moving through cover there, trying to fit in that gap. So he's falling behind, he might get caught later on, might have to run him. And then this immobilised Wave Serpent is going to die on top of there. It can't move, but we're going to swing the weapon around and support the fire over here. If we can eliminate these two, then most of his mobile threat has gone, and then we'll be free to mop up or shoot from distance the rest. So we'll go on to Eldar shooting now on turn 4. Right, Eldar shooting on turn 4. Wraith Knight fired down at the Morlock. Rolled a 1-1 with the multi-laser or scatter laser, so didn't get the twin linked. Got 2 hits with the template weapon and didn't do any wounds, so that was a disappointment there. So 1 wound came from the Howling Banshee as a pistol hit, and then she rolled a 6 to wound at AP2. So that took 1 down. And then the rest of the hits and kills came from the Fire Dragons, who rolled their battle focus roll, extra 2 inches, got in range, and then took them all locked down. So it's another kill point for the Eldar. The rest of the firepower coming in. Jet bikes couldn't get in range of this flyer, and all the other hits coming across failed to do any damage. So he's still there. He's gliding, so we're able to contact him or reach him in combat. So hoping that the Avatar will be able to charge in. It's quite a long way. You're going to need a brilliant roll and going into cover, so I doubt it very much. Firepower from here didn't do any damage. The Wraith Lords have decided to run. This one's gone 3 inches. This one's gone 5 inches up and over the barricade, trying to stay away from that Tyranid tie. It's just a mopping up action with the stuff here. We'll see if we can reach this flyer. So we go on to Eldar Assaults on turn 4. We'll roll it now, actually. So we need 3 dice. We've got to roll them. Now this is interesting. The Eldar Avatar is fleet, so I'm going to re-roll this one. Got a 6. This is excellent. We're going to take away the best, which is a 6. That's 11 inches. This is a combat that's going to go on. It is Avatar versus Hive Tyrant. What a showdown. We're going to do this one on camera. I want to see what happens. So just going to do the combat now. So it's Avatar against the Hive Tyrant. The Avatar going through cover, so the Hive Tyrant goes first. He's on 4 attacks. Here they come. Needs 4s to hit. And he can reroll 1s, which he hasn't got any. 2 hits. And he wants wounds. What strength are you? Strength 6, toughness 6. So that is 1 save. We've got an invuln of 5+. No, so it's a wound knockdown on the Avatar. Right, we're on 5 attacks, and then that's 6 on the charge. Weapon skill 10, so we're on 3s to hit. That's 4 hits. I could kill him on 4s. Come on. 2 wounds, so that's a combat that's going to continue. The Avatar wins the combat on the first round. So it's a Fearless Hive Tyrant. That's a combat that is going to go on, but the Avatar has succeeded in pinning him down. The Warlord has been thrown in there and is holding down that key unit. So that's handy for the Eldar. Going to move on now to Tyranid turn 5. Movement now on Tyranid turn 5. The Horde's moving forwards, and it looks like it's going to catch that immobilised Wave Serpent. There's another kill point there. Hive Tyrant Guard moving forwards, and they got a chance of capturing that Wraith Lord as well, and he's moving up for Line Breaker, so the game is far from over. That combat continues, and we're going to move on now to Tyranid shooting and assaults on turn 5. Right, Tyranid run moves and assaults. These guys have run forwards through the woods here, and then the Hive Tyrant Guard failed. They're on 4 inches in total, so they failed to reach the rear of the Wraith Lord there. Coming around, these guys have moved forwards, looking for Line Breaker, and then all over the Wave Serpent in the middle here. These Carnifexes have rolled and they've crawled up the barricade. They're going to tear that vehicle apart. And then we've got this combat that will continue. Showdown here between the Avatar and the Hive Tyrant, the Winged Hive Tyrant. So, 2 important melees to come. Right, this combat here, it's the Avatar first now, initiative 10. So we want weapon skill 10, freeze to hit. Oh. 5 hits. And then we want force to kill. Goodbye, hut. Oh dear. Right, so that's 5 failures there. So we'll quickly move on to the Tyranid roll. Yeah, I've just rolled it there. Ben, so he wants 4s. He's got 2. And then strength 6, are you? Yeah, so 4s. See if you can do it. No. It's a standoff. Don't know what's going on over there. Well, there is no damage done, so it's a continuing melee. So, summary of the assaults there, we saw there was no damage done between those 2 imbeciles. And then up here, the Carnifexes systematically dismantled the Wave Serpent. Has been torn to shreds. So, it's another kill point for Tyranids. So, we're going to move on now to Eldar turn 5. The game could end at the end of this phase. Right, Eldar movement on turn 5. Priority really is those Carnifexes on top of the barricades there. So the Warp Spiders have moved forwards 6 inches, and they are well within range to fire their weapons there. Then the Wraith Knight supporting fire will come through onto them as well. And then the Wraith Lord's moved back 5 inches on top of the barricade here, standing in defiance, looking across the battlefield towards those Carnifexes. Jet bikes here can give supporting fire as well, along with the fire dragons, who are all within 12. So we're going to get some good shooting coming down. Trying to keep the last Banshee alive just at the back here. Scorpion's coming out, they're still at a decent strength, just to come up in support. And then this jet bike squad here, moving up, and then Turbo Boost to claim the Line Breaker. Wraith Lord coming across to support the Avatar. And now we're going to move on to shooting and assaults for the Eldar on turn 5. Game could end this turn. Right, Eldar shooting and run moves. Those Carnifexes are gone. It was decent firepower. 2 wounds first from the Wraith Knight coming in. And then it was finished off by a monofilament hit from the Warp Spiders, and then 3 other wounds which he failed to save. So that's the end of that Carnifex. And then the last one was finished off by the Fire Dragons, who fired, did 2 wounds, and then have since run back with their battle focus special rule. Whoops. The Striker Scorpions moved up 4 inches. In support now, the last Banshee run across here. And then the jet bikes, they dished out 2 shuriken rolls of 6 at AP2 and killed the last wounds on that. Carnifex is gone, and have then Eldar jet bike move, fallen back. So nice sleek movement from the Eldar and decent shooting has removed that central threat. I'm just going to go on to assaults now here with the Hive Tyrant. Going to go first to see if we can do better than last time. He can't do any worse. He's got his 3 hits there. Strength 6, that is a wound. So 1 wound on the Hive Tyrant. And then the Hive Tyrant is going to elect to take on the Avatar. So off he goes. He needs 4s. He's got 1 hit, just 1. And he's got a wound which we save, so that's alright. And then the Wraith Lord charging in is on 4 attacks. He's got Hammer of Wrath first. He's wounded, so if you make 1 save of 3+, please, Ben. He has. He's got 4 attacks then. At 4s to hit, that's a shame. And strength 10, yes, that's a wound. We're Master Crafters, so we're going to get a reroll here. No, so 1, there's no save allowed, so that's another wound. Half killed it, not bad going. So combat results, the Hive Tyrant didn't give out any wounds at all. The Avatar made his invulnerable save. And then in return, the Wraith Lord and the Avatar have caused 1 wound on the winged Hive Tyrant, so it's half dead. That marks the end of turn 5. Ben's going to roll 1 or 2, the game's going to be over. And that is a free, so the game continues. Moving on now to Tyranid turn 6. Right, Tyranid turn movement on turn 6. The force is just moving forwards there, sticking within Synapse's range. The tide really has advanced well. And that combat continues. The Eldar force is just here in the compound, and you've got the Tervagon now closing down on the Warp Spiders, so game's still not over yet. Moving on now to Tyranid shooting and assaults on turn 6. Right, combat's here, so it will be the Avatar first. Freeze to hit, that's more like it. This could be the end of him on 4s. Got it, so the Hive Tyrant is dead. Oh. So that's the end of him. That's a shame. That's a shame. Right, combat results on turn 6 for the Tyranids. The Hive Tyrant was killed by the Avenging Avatar. They've consolidated 3 inches each now. And then around the other side, stampeding forwards, was we failed our fear test. So he got all hits and all kills with his attacks, wiping out the Warp Spiders. There's another kill point for the Tyranids, so it's now Eldar turn 6. Right, moving for the Eldar on turn 6. The Wraith Lord and the Avatar are moving forwards here to close down into combat. These guys have moved forwards, so it is a counter-attack now from the Eldar. Jet bikes moving forwards here to get in some shots, and then the Wraith Knight and Wraith Guard are going to work together and try and take out this rampaging Tervagon. So right towards the end of this game here, still a showdown between these two forces. So we move on now to Eldar shooting on turn 6. Shooting on turn 6, the Wraith Lord fired through the flamer at the Hive Tyrant, and in between he killed 4 of the Gaunts, and then the Avatar firing his weapon forwards took a wound, or did a wound, on the Tyrant Guard there. These guys have moved forwards, the Scorpions, and then 5 inches across got themselves an angle to the Tervagon and got 2 wounds on him, and then other hits from the Wraith Lord, and these jet bikes have caused another wound, so it's half dead, and then they will move on now to Eldar assaults now at the end of turn 6. Going to be a showdown here between these units, the Tervagon, Wraith Knight and Wraith Lord, and perhaps over here we're going to throw ourselves into this combat as well. It's going to go right to the wire. Right, the Avatar's charged in, the Wraith Lord failed to support, didn't make it, but there's going to be a smash up there, and then over here a combat as well as we look to finish off the Tervagon. So roll up combat results for those. Right, combat results on turn 6, Eldar turn 6. 2 wounds dished out by the Avatar, so it killed one of the Tyrant Guard, and then he hit back, passing all his saves, and a final hit from the Bone Sword, but passed his invuln on a 5+. So we won the combat, continues. That one there is a deadlock. And then over here, Wraith Knight got him first, no cover in the way, initiative, higher initiative, and dished out 3 wounds, stamped all over the Tervagon and killed it. So that's the end of the Tervagon there. That's tipped the scales of the game well into the favour of the Eldar. James is going to roll now, 4+ to see if the game continues. It does, so turn 7 to finish the game. It's going to be tight because we're running out of time this evening, but we'll see if we can fit it in. Right, we're just running through here. We've done the whole turn in one because we're just finishing up. It's gone the time for closing down. So we've rolled it all into one. He's fired, killed a fire dragon, but we passed morale. Then he's charged in. We won the combat, but he was fearless and snaps his range. So that one continues, but the controversy is here. The Avatar went first. He dished out 3 wounds. He took out the Hive Guard and then 2 wounds on the Hive Tyrant. Still alive though. He struck back. We got 3 wounds. I failed all my invuln saves, so we're on 4 wounds. And then with the Bone Sword, I have to take a morale test, a leadership test, which I rolled a double 6. So apparently the Avatar is dead. That's another kill point and slay the Warlord. So this game has gone right to the wire. Controversy at the end, would you believe it? In this game we thought would be so boring has turned out to be really interesting. So we wanted to get to the end of the game there. So we've rushed it in, but we've squeezed it in. It's the Eldar turn 7. So the Wraith Lord went up over the barricade and then flamed down and wiped out that gaunt unit. The Avatar's gone. Moved around here, the Scorpions charged in, and with the help of the dragons wiped out that gaunt unit there. And over here, Sun Cannon fire, and the Wraith Lord managed to kill almost all the gaunts as free there. They were just lurk. So Eldar topping up on their kill points. Looks like an Eldar victory, so we're going to calculate it out. So we're just calculating the results out here. James got a kill for the Avatar and slay the Warlord, so that was 2 points. It killed 1, 2, 3 Wave Serpents, that's 5 points, and the Warp Spiders were killed, so that's 6 points, and that's about it. So 6 points for the Tyranids, not bad going. The Eldar got First Blood. They then got Line Breaker for this squad here, that's 2 points. They killed all 4 units of Gaunts, so that's another 4, so that's 6. They killed both Carnifexes, that's a brood though, so that's 7. They killed the Tervagon, that's 8. Killed the Raveners, that's 9. Trigon and Morlock, 10, 11. And the Flying Hive Tyrant is 12. So that's game over, it's a win right at the end for the Eldar. But it was a near run thing, that's for sure.